All right. Good morning, everybody. Today is Tuesday, August 16th, 2016, and this is Before the First Cup of Jules here in UCY.TV. Happy Tuesday, everyone. It is a wet 70 degrees and pouring here in upstate New York. Looks like we have a little bit of a foray down from the north up over the Great Lakes that is dumping the next couple hours of heavy rain on us. We're starting to get a little bit soggy now, but I guess that's okay. It's better than 105 degrees and baking heat. So where do we leave off on Friday? Because yesterday we reran the first hour of the interview with Patrick Jordan and Clint Richardson on Shalley's Cold Reality Radio. They've been discussing the potentiality of man-directed evolution through things such as vaccines and bacteriophages. I have to say it was quite an interesting theory, and it was actually sounded a little bit more than theory. They had some good proof looking at how bacteriophages worked and that type of thing. But on Friday, we called the show Biometrics, Brain Hacking, Behavioral Prediction, AI, and Orifice Robots. If you remember those Orifice Robots, I don't know, did we even do those? We might have to do Orifice Robots at the end of the show, because I don't know. Yeah, I think we did do that one. We spent all last week looking at the brain and AI, and that is not hard to do, especially with all the insane technology that is being released on a daily basis. And I think we're going to continue down that path this week because I just have so many stories stacked up, and they're all important, and we need to realize how fast this is happening. You know, people keep saying, oh, don't worry about it. It's another 20 years from now, but see, it's way closer than 20 years. Yeah, 20 years maybe when they start recycling the first ones, but I think it's only going to be 2 or 3 years. Give another Christmas or two, consumeristic holiday for them to roll them out at $199. They'll sell like hotcakes. Especially if they could sell it as something that would give you convenience, it would go over huge. One of the things we discussed on Friday, we looked at some flashing lights. Again, they've been working on that with rats or mice to be able to insert and remove memories. Remember all that? It was pretty insane. More DARPA research that is now spun out to the university level. Now they're going to start messing with it as therapies in the not too distant future. We also saw Yamaha has a new motorcycle that is going to be driven by AI. And you know, I dug more into that because it wasn't clear to me in the story as to whether or not it was going to be an actual robot on the motorcycle, or if it was going to be just intelligence built into the motorcycle. And, oh, talk about scary. Do a search for Yamaha AI motorcycle and look back to last year. So this story just came out this year, probably a week or two ago. It says on the 9th of August. But go back like a year or so ago to 2015 and take a look at what they rolled out at the Consumer Electronics Show. It is a robot that looks just like out of Minority Report. You know, the cop, the RoboCop. Maybe it was out of RoboCop, not Minority Report. Same difference. You know what I'm saying. Yeah, it was out of RoboCop, where he's got the face mask on, and he's like squatted forward, like he's driving real fast in blue. But they're actually talking about keeping that AI robot, and I don't think he actually gets off yet, gets off the motorcycle, but I bet he could. But they have patterned him after the world's like 6-time motocross competition, fast-assed motorcycle riding that no one in the world can beat. They patterned him after it, and it's won. I think they've designed him to win. Hold on, let's see. AI Yamaha robot. Yeah, here. AI driver. And all I was thinking about this, as we've been talking about, oh, no, not driver downloads isn't a computer. I want AI motorcycle. Cycle. There. We've talked about areas. We've talked about this so many times, like the future, and be careful what you ask for. And so we got all this police brutality, and again, spark it all up again in Milwaukee. There's fires and crazy shit going on. That's going to keep happening. You have the Department of Justice taking over local police precincts because itchy trigger fingers. They can't keep it in their pants. So here we go. We'll fix it all. Look, we now have Robo Traffic Cop. Yay! He can drive faster than any human ever. He could do amazing tricks. This is really insane. I couldn't even imagine. And I mean, these aren't little rinky dink putty putt motorcycles. These are Yamaha's rocket ships. These were really expensive and really fast motorcycles. Super bikes, that's what they call them. So anyway, from what I was reading, the first step is to keep the robot on the front of the bike if you were to purchase one, if they ever built it this way, because they said they aren't so sure yet, but yes, if they built it this way, the robot would be on the bike, and then you would be on the back of the bike, and the robot would be in control. When I saw the picture of this bot with the face, the eye shield, and hunched over, and the fact that Valentino Rossi, I think that was who it said, they designed him after, so he could beat the world champion in motorcycle racing. And that's not going to fare good. It's not going to fare very well for you or me or Nana trying to get out of Dodge when these things are let loose chasing us all over. So, anyway, I don't know. That was the first time I heard about autonomous motorcycles. And then it scared me even more when I dug a little deeper into it and I saw this robot thing. I was like, what? I mean, he literally looks insane. So you got to find it. Just search Yamaha robot motorcycle. You'll find it. It's just nuts. That should add a couple extra minutes to your nightmares tomorrow night. All right. So talking about nightmares, we looked at DARPA a week or two ago. Had Defcon going on in Vegas. This is that yearly hacking extravaganza that they usually have with all the black hat, white hat hackers that show up. What was interesting about this year is that DARPA brought 7 supercomputers that all had this new shape-shifting immune system for the internet on it. Remember, we talked about that. Being able to create AI to hack computer systems. But remember, there's this internal and this external thing. So, yes, to hack computers, hack schmack, but also we want to be able to use it to scan to find vulnerabilities that hackers might use to compromise our computers. So hacking's not bad. They call that white hat hacking. Well, see, I want to back up here for a second because here's something interesting. NSA 21, look it up. NSA merged their internal and their external divisions this past year, where they took the hackers on their cyber patrol team that are supposed to be infiltrating, I don't know what they even call them. I had the word, but it's gone. It's early, man. It was raining and dark, and 9:30 comes around. I was like, oh, it feels like it's 5 in the morning. Wish I could add another 6 hours sleep. But what do they call them? Foreign actors. So the one part of the NSA was meant to infiltrate foreign actors' computers who were of intelligence interest to the feds. And the other part of the NSA was specific to keep the United States computing infrastructure safe by, when holes were identified, they plugged them and they made sure we had security. But lo and behold came this NSA 21. I'm not sure if it was the end of last year, the beginning of this year, but it happened just within the last year or so. They merged the espionage and the hacking groups with the internal Keep You Safe group. And now we have this one big, happy, dysfunctional family down at NSA called NSA 21 that are hacking and cracking everybody. They don't give two shits anymore. And it doesn't really matter, and there are no more laws. How are you going to prove it? How are you going to prove you've been infiltrated, and by whom? Well, now come down the path this Defcon 24 in Vegas, part of the Cyber Grand Challenge that just ended. And we have DARPA, who's part of the Department of Defense, and remember, good old Keith Alexander, the former head of Cyber Patrol, and he was the former head of the NSA as well, had all of the military, I believe there were 7 different divisions, that had hacking responsibilities under him. They got all kinds of secret groups. They got subcontractors. They got, remember we read that big story about the hacking team when they got hacked? They're third-party entities that were contracting to go find vulnerabilities and then write us little hacker software to go in and be able to steal data or monitor things. Then they're selling it back to countries' governments to use as surveillance. So it's all dirty and ugly. But anyway, this DEFCON that just finished, it was the first time they wanted to make, or see how it worked, an AI auto protect system that could protect back-end systems from infiltration. So they used 7 DARPA computers, supercomputers. And they put code on them, and then all these teams program that software to be able to protect the machine that they were on. But it was already software that was set up by DARPA. These guys didn't write the software. These guys just were in charge of programming the software to do what they wanted it to do. And then they set them loose in an AI battle to see which of the 7 and which of the teams could come up with a better piece of code to be able to autonomously hack and infiltrate. And we found out, I believe, Carnegie Mellon won. But the reason why I'm telling you this, I mean, we've talked about a few different things, the shape-shifting human immune system that they're all working on, and yes, DARPA was a part of that as well. And then the shape-shifting computer immune system. And when we first started talking about that, I was pointing out how this intrusion detection and prevention, which is something that we were even doing back when I was still engineering, was going to be the next step now. You know, we had that going on already 10 plus years ago, but this shape-shifting immune system for computers was really where DARPA Dan was pushing things. Well, it's happened. And what's even more interesting, you can listen to me all day long, raise a red flag and go, the sky is falling. But you know, that only goes so far. And especially if you've been listening to me for 4 or 5 years now, every day, with the sky is falling. I mean, you might be seeing some glimmers now going, oh shit, Jules right. But you know, it starts to get tiring after a while. Just like me standing here saying the sky's falling. After a while, it kind of loses its luster because the sky's falling every day. You know, you kind of get used to it. But what caught me is that I saw an industry publication. Now, when you're in the industry, take it from somebody who was in the industry, you don't speak out and bite the industry. And maybe this guy didn't realize that the DOD, DARPA in particular, is part of the tech industry now. We established that last week with that new DOD panel headed up by, I keep thinking Jeff Bezos, but no, Jeff Bezos is on the board, Amazon CEO. But Google CEO, Alphabet CEO, what the hell's his name? That little twank, I can't stand him. He's got those beady little eyes. Oh, and every time he opens his mouth, you know there's going to be more evil oozing out. Anyway, Alphabet's chairman of the board, Eric Schmidt, that was his name, is in charge of it. But you got all these tech people on this board now, and synthetic biology guys, and investors, and Google, and whatever, all teaming up with the Department of Defense to help keep us safe, guys. You don't think that the feds, I mean, it's already DARPA, but you don't think like the federal government and the DOD, since they're all part of the same team, aren't looking at these tests now that we had all these kids run at Defcon, and things worked out pretty well. It was pretty successful. You don't think that they're finding ways right now to be able to implement this across the board? But here's the thing. So this mainstream publication in the tech industry, no less, publishes a story questioning the Defcon AI hacking software by DARPA as to maybe having some nefarious future use. And I almost fell off my chair. Guys, I've been reading tech publications for a very, very long time. And typically, that is not the place to look for quote-unquote conspiracy theory. Because you're always crazy. They're not looking to take over the world, Joel. Well, I don't know how long this Tony's going to have a job, or if they're going to come looking for him. But I was really surprised that Tony gets a BTFC light bulb hat. I think we're going to have to make some light bulb hats. Because Tony at least looked at the facts like any rational person would. And Tony said, hey, DARPA is Defense Department. And we got AI hacker and crackers figuring out every vulnerability and taking things over. Couldn't this get kind of scary if we just fast forward just a little bit without the brakes on? And I gotta hand it to Tony. So I'm gonna read this story after the 10 minutes setup. I'm gonna read this story because it really gave me pleasure after many, many, many years of browsing tech industry pubs. I always had to stay up on the newest stuff. You know, we were configuring it. You always had to know what was coming. As soon as somebody asked you if you didn't know and you were answering the phone, you sounded like an idiot and you lost all credibility. So you always had to know. And I read these publications religiously. I did my research like I do my research on Mad Science Gone Mad Now. So you guys know I used to do it. I don't ever remember really much at all. Maybe like jokingly, but I don't ever remember someone seriously questioning the machine. Because remember, it's all about that cognitive dissonance. We didn't question the machine. It was like that glowing golden keys. Whoa! Technology was going to offer us the utopia of the future that we were promised. And it didn't quite happen. You got bloody windows down that dark hall now. All right. By the way, I am back in the live seat here. And I must say, it feels good to be back in my office. All right. Anyway, so this story came out of IT Pro Windows. Autonomous software drones. That was the name of the story. This year at DEFCON 24, the big attraction was the Cyber Grand Challenge, sponsored by the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, a.k.a. DARPA. And this was a capture the flag type of hacking contest, which is typical of DEFCON, where you simultaneously try to defend the server and hack your adversaries. However, the difference in this contest is that all the contestants were software programs designed to defend and hack back all on their own with no human intervention. That's right. Autonomous hacking software drones, or at least that's the way I saw it. Not me. This is the author of the story. And again, a tech guy writing for a tech publication. And he's going, what? This is just, I just couldn't even believe that I saw someone questioning the machine in a publication. If it seems a bit odd that the DARPA would be a major sponsor of Defcon, the original counterculture hacking convention, it was. And they basically took over a whole area of the con and put on an event like a spectator sport, complete with commentators, lit up, custom designed racks for computers with huge purse prizes of $3.7 million. Now that type of dough, you know DARPA is some big ass serious. If they're offering prizes, and I thought I saw Carnegie Mellon got like 2.5 or something like that, but maybe there were multiple prizes, but $3.7 million in prizes? They were looking for somebody with some real smarts who could thwart their machine for that type of money. Your tax dollars hard at work. Consider that the entire door receipts for the convention probably didn't exceed that number. And so they didn't even make anywhere near that amount for people showing up for the whole entire conference. But if you realize that, then you'd realize that this display was decidedly non-DEFCON. And ding, ding, what is he implying? Oh my, what is he implying? As far as the actual contest went, it was not quite as exciting to watch in real time as the commentators and lavish production would have had you wish. However, it made me wonder about the underlying concept. Ding! He gets his UC-wide light bulb hat. Did you see it go on? I did. Ding! This story was so amazing. It's like, see, I mean, honestly, I wonder if he's going to start questioning more. Because it's like he literally woke up while writing this story. Software bots that can defend and attack all by themselves is a pretty impressive feat. But to what end? Ding! I love this so much. If it were just a bunch of sleep-deprived hackers working in teams for a black Uber badge, I would say, for the same reason that any DEF CON contest is put on, just for the fun of it. But software robots don't have fun, and military-funded research organizations definitely don't do anything for fun. I am sure DARPA invented the internet. DARPA invented the internet and gave us lots of great things like GPS and Tang. Oh, I didn't know Tang was from DARPA. I thought that was from NASA. But that's, remember, the yin and the yang, NASA and DARPA. But make no mistake, man, that's frightening if Tang was from DARPA. Did they make us genetically modified with Tang in the 70s? Remember how much they pushed that stuff? It's all about man landing on the moon. They had Neil Armstrong in the commercials. They even had like custom decanters that you could get it in. We'd buy new ones. Just get the decanter. But I love that Tang. That's really frightening. I don't believe I drank Tang and it was DARPA. But make no mistake, they will expect some payoff for their investment. Maybe not now, but in the future. And while contestant organizers took pains to ensure that the code was now weaponized and could not escape into the wild or ever be used for anything malevolent, I, the author of the story, definitely could see where they were going with this. It could be the answer to the basic problem that the U.S. government has in cyber warfare. Other governments have been hacking us for years, sometimes covertly, other times not so covertly, and our adversaries generally have less scruples than we do. Well, that's all relative there. It depends on who you are and how public it is. When it comes to actively raiding our corporate and governmental coffers via cyber attacks, the problem is being the good boy on the block, as well as wielding very big sticks in the conventional war arena, it is hard for the U.S. government to respond, at least officially, to such hackings. Sure, we made some noise about considering cyber attacks to be the same as real kinetic attacks, and they came out about that when that Sony hacking first happened, and they accused North Korea of doing that. And they had said that an attack in cyberspace would be considered an act of war, and that pretty much is when Keith Alexander took over NSA and started spinning out all of these cyber patrol groups out of the different divisions of the U.S. military. So it's very frightening that they're creating this fully autonomous hacking software, and we literally are on the brink of World War. And I mean, we're on the brink of World War, pointing everything at each other and missile defense shields in Poland and whatever. Putin's really pissed off over that. But the next step, and we don't even realize, and I mean, I'm sure it's been like this. Maybe we just assumed it's been like this. I always thought they had some sort of back-end hacking system anyway, but maybe not as autonomous as I thought. But they did have crews, multiple crews all over that they could turn on and point at the direction of a foreign actor when they needed infiltration. But look at how precarious this is getting now. And now we're going to have this AI software that's going to be stealthily sneaking around the internet, finding vulnerabilities for those of us who don't ever patch. Because, you know, patch updates always include the newest spyware, yes, but patch updates also do include patches to close vulnerabilities so foreign actors cannot infiltrate your computer, but of course they're not going to give us all the patches. But anyway, let's get back to this. So the problem is that the good old boys on the block, as well as wielding very big sticks in the conventional war arena, it's hard for the U.S. government to respond, at least officially, to such hackings. And sure, we made some noise about considering cyber attacks to be the future and the same as real kinetic attacks, but so far, there's been little response on the cyber front, mainly due to dangers of escalation in a real shooting war. However, if we had software drones patrolling our virtual borders, and remember the beginnings of Skynet, people, we've talked about this. DARPA Dan had mentioned this back a few years ago, and I had already postulated what they were planning. This is like an immune system for the internet. Because remember, the internet was never built to be secure by who? Oh, DARPA. Ding. The Internet of Things was never meant to be secure either. And as they're transhumanizing us with all these insane new implants, we're going to look at some of that if I can get there today. We're also going to have a brand new shape-shifting, DNA-changing immune system that they have been working on for humans to help secure the Internet of Things once we become a part of it. And this is just absolute, utter insanity. Anyway, however, if we had software drones patrolling our virtual borders and someone was to attack us, the drones could fire back. And if it just happened to attack a location in downtown Beijing, we could blame the robots. Oops. Let us fix that line of code. Sorry. But maybe, just maybe, that group, whoever it is less likely to attack us. So obviously in the future, if the big dog on the block is going to bite back automatically, perhaps it's just a conspiracy theory. But no, it isn't. It isn't there, Tommy. Is that what his name was? Tony. It's not a conspiracy theory. We've dug deep into this. We did interviews with DARPA Dan in 60 Minutes, and he talked about some of this technology. They've been working on this for a while. Defcon was the big test. They had $3.7 million to give away to show what a wonderful test it was. And this is just the part one of the shape-shifting immune system. Remember, they're working on one for us, too, for when they plug us in to the Internet of Things. Anyway, perhaps it's just conspiracy theory, but I think sooner or later, whether we do it or some other country does, software attack drones will be an important part of the future of cyber warfare. And if throwing a couple of trinkets to the Defcon nerds helps the U.S. get there before the other guys, I think they wouldn't hesitate to do it. And I think you're right there, Tony. You know, the scary part of the matter is, I think a lot of it is already there. You know, China's got a really super powerful AI through that Beidou. Beidou is like the Chinese Google. And what's the other one? Alibaba is the Chinese Amazon. Look them up if you want some interesting reading. I mean, they are totally tied in with the Chinese government. They're like the back end super scientists over there. But, you know, we have other countries with supercomputing power and pretty smart scientists who are working on trying to be the dominant force in cyberspace, because that is where the secrets are. And I saw yesterday, did you see, not only was there a George Soros hack, and there are now some documents that are trickling out, so these should be extremely interesting, considering that they've been talking about Soros funding parts of Clinton's campaign. But the NSA, and I don't have the story up here, so we're not going to cover this today. I want to get on to other things, but I just wanted to mention it. So if you're interested, you can look it up. The NSA had targeted some group, and I don't remember. It was late. It was probably like 2 o'clock this morning. I was reading the story, but it was really good. The NSA had targeted this group, and it infiltrated some of their stuff. And this group, this hacking group, turned around and infiltrated the NSA. And they got in their back door, and they got some info. And not only did they get some info, but now they're putting it up for auction. There were all kinds of tasty tidbits. Of course, all the news late last night is like, oh, we're still waiting to verify, but it sure sounds legit, they were saying. So I don't know, we'll see. But if the NSA got hacked by some hacking group that they were targeting to try to infiltrate, and I don't know if they were foreign actors or what they were, just some black hat. No, actually they weren't. They weren't anonymous either. They were some other new hacking group. And did I had it open last night, but before I went to bed, I tried to be good and clean up all my open tabs, because, you know, it causes me problems in the morning when I get up here and there's 1,000 tabs open. No, I don't see it in my history. We'll find it tomorrow. But yeah, it was some other group, not anonymous, that had come after NSA. So I'm hoping that there are some really tasty tidbits that come out of that. Anyway, let me finish the story so we can get on to some legions of nanobots. And that is the title of the story. Anyway, as far as the rest of Defcon 24 goes, this Tony from Win IT Pro, I'm starting to wonder that light bulb is going on. Jules, you were right. If that was once a crazy little hacker conference, I'm starting to wonder if what was a crazy little hacker conference has truly jumped the shark. And, you know, Keith Alexander used to show up at this conference every year, and he would be recruiting hackers to come work for him in his cyber patrol centers. First of all, the serious money has arrived, and now not just in the DARPA Cyber Grand Challenge, but the vendor booths, which were getting significantly more boothy versus vendor tables way back when that were actually folding card tables and chairs with odds and ends of dubious technical nature that used to make up a DEF CON vendor area. And yeah, I've been to so many tech, they used to call them tech fairs. And I used to design booths even. So, I mean, I know they're expensive, man. You want to buy one, $10,000, $20,000 if you're looking for a biggie, but even to rent one, a few $1,000 plus to print is a few $1,000, and you're talking, 10 or 20 foot wide graphics that had to be designed. It's expensive, but they used to be just a folding table with a tablecloth and little piles of cut sheets and maybe a product to tinker with as you're walking by. That's what it used to be. But now it looks like there's all kinds of money that went into this. And at 25,000 attendees is way too many to pretend that you don't need online pre-registration. It prevents them from planning talks or having enough badges for the attendees and many basic management tasks. So it makes me think that either A, the founder, Jeff Moss, oh, Tony, man, you better look out. This is going to be 2 lipos. That the founder, Jeff Moss, might be using this as a tax dodge. Ding. Which I don't know about that, but interesting question. I don't know if I'd be putting that in writing there, though, Tony. Or, more likely, he is packaging it up to sell it off just like he did, with Black Hat a while back. So I didn't realize Black Hat and Defcon were totally separate events. Both involved hackers, so that's where Black Hat is where Keith Alexander used to go recruit. Either way, I can't expect that it will continue in this form much longer, and it probably needs to be split up into several conferences anyway. With one big one focused on large corporations and government employees that seem to dominate it now, and maybe we could even call it FedCon. Yeah, see, the feds have infiltrated the traditional Vegas hacking conference. If that isn't like writing on the wall, I don't know what is, with a $3.5 million prize. I mean, that's insanity. And then a smaller conference where one can feel quirky, crazy, and free from government influences, like the old Defcon used to be. All good things come to an end, and I expect that Defcon has currently peaked in its current form. So there you go. I don't know. I mean, it was an interesting read, I thought, just because, like I said, it was from a mainstream technical publication, and someone was actually questioning the machine and what its future goals would be. All right, so talking about robots and AI and autonomy, we've talked about nanobots and Kurzweil being the head of engineering at Google, and Google being in bed with DARPA, and good old Regina Duggan as part of that ATAP, Advanced Technology Moonshots program. Yep. Well, and Google Verily. Nanobots in your blood so you can live forever. Longevity Project. Well, phys.org, August 15, 2016. This was yesterday. You couldn't imagine like how excited I was right before I went to bed and I saw this title. I was like, ooh, legions of nanobots. Legions of nanobots. Remember, shape-shifting immune system for the internet. Oh, shape-shifting immune systems for the body. Legions of nanobots target cancerous tumors. The big C with precision. Let's step right up and get them injected. Researchers from the Polytechnic Montreal, University of Montreal, McGill University, have just achieved a spectacular breakthrough in cancer research. Ding, ding, ding. They have developed new nanorobotic agents. Agents, yes, that's what they call them, agents. You know what? That's what you call an endpoint, or actually a scanning module in antivirus software. It's your agent. You'll get the scanning agent. You'll get the cleaning agent. It's an agent. They have developed new nanorobotic agents capable of navigating through the bloodstream to administer a drug with precision by specifically targeting the active cancer cell tumors. Search and destroy. This way of injecting medication ensures the optimal target of a tumor, and it also avoids jeopardizing the integrity of the organs and surrounding healthy tissues. Of course, now here's the big sell. As a result, the drug dosage that is highly toxic for human organisms could be significantly reduced. This scientific breakthrough has just been published in the prestigious Journal of Nature Nanotechnology in an article titled Magnetoaerotactic Bacteria Deliver Drug-Containing Nanoliposomes to Tumor Hypoxic Regions. Oh, how nice is that? Nanoliposomes. The liposome is a fat. And I had read about how to circumvent the immune system with nanotechnology. I thought was to encase them in some sort of fatty shell, some sort of biological shell, so they could Trojan horse it. Usually it was viruses, but this is being sent in a nanobot itself. So this is your payload. The article notes the results of the research done on mice, which were successfully administered nanorobotic agents into colorectal tumors. Oh, that's almost as scary as the orifice spots. I'd say even scarier because we're talking legions, according to the title of the story, of nanobots. These legions of nanorobotic agents were actually composed of more than 100 million flagellated bacteria. So they're like little spermies. They're like little spermies swimming. And therefore they are self-propelled, so don't worry about it. And then loaded with drugs that moved by taking the most direct path between the drug's injection point and the area of the body to cure. So, the injection point, they are injecting legions of nanorobotic flagellated bacteria with secret payloads to go kill targeted cells. Oh, this is beyond frightening. This is beyond frightening. Let's read that sentence one more time. These legions of nanorobotic agents were actually composed of more than 100 million flagellated bacteria, and therefore self-propelled and loaded with drugs that moved by taking the most direct path between the drug's injection point and the area of the body to cure, explains Professor Sylvain Martel, holder of the Canada Research Chair in Medical Nanorobotics and the director of the Polytechnique Montreal Nanorobotics Laboratory, who heads the research of the team's work. The drug's propelling force was enough to travel efficiently and deep inside of the tumors, he said. When they enter the tumor, the nanorobotic agents can detect in a wholly autonomous fashion, ding, the oxygen-depleted tumor areas known as hypoxic zones, just like in our oceans, and then deliver drugs to them. This hypoxic zone is created by the substantial consumption of oxygen by rapidly proliferating tumor cells, and hypoxic zones are known to be resistant to most therapies, including radiotherapy. But gaining access to tumors by taking paths as minute as red blood cells and crossing complex physiological microenvironments does not come without challenges, so Professor Martell and his team used nanotechnology to do it. Ding, 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 ding. To move around, bacteria used by Professor Martell's team rely on two natural systems, a kind of compass. A compass. They're building GPS into little flagellated bacteria nanobots. I mean, what? A kind of compass created by the synthesis of a chain of magnetic nanoparticles allows them to move in the direction of a magnetic field, while a sensor measuring oxygen concentration enables them to reach and remain in the tumor's active region. So they're using some sort of biosensors as well to determine where the hypoxic regions are. And by harnessing these two transportation systems and by exposing the bacteria to what? Oh, a computer-controlled magnetic field, researchers showed that these bacteria could perfectly replicate artificial nanobots of the future designed for this kind of task. The innovative use of nanotransporters will have an impact not only on creating more advanced engineering concepts and original intervention methods, but it also throws the door open wide to the synthesis of new vehicles for therapeutic, imaging, and diagnostic agents. Chemotherapy, which is so toxic for the entire human body, could make use of these natural nanobots to move drugs directly to the targeted area. Of course it is. Eliminating the harmful side effects while also boosting therapeutic effectiveness. So step right up, people. Legions of 100 million flagellated nanobots coming to a bloodstream to cure your cancer near you soon. That's just insanity. So, as a part of all of this march toward transhumanism, not only have they been messing with their DNA and with nanobots and with all the secrets of nature to see what they could hack and crack and then usurp, take for their own, to be able to control everything on the planet. How close are we to mapping the human brain? Because remember, that is our last bastion of freedom. It's what's going on inside of our head, and once we are compromised, it will no longer be us. Right? I mean, we found out flashes of light and zippity zap. You got Google and GlaxoSmithKline now using their transcranial stimulation for cures. Zip, zip, zap, zap. How long is it going to be? There's a few zippity zaps, and you're all of a sudden wiped clean. How long is it going to be before there's this synthetic gut bacteria that gets in you, pushes a few buttons, bzz, 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 and instead of being the miserable son of a bitch you've been your whole life, you're all happy-go-lucky, picking daisies, singing pink fluffy unicorns, dancing on rainbows. That's not you anymore. And I don't care how much you were annoying being the nasty son of a bitch. That's the type of person you were. I have a few friends that are nasty son of a bitches all the time, and kind of like them that way. I can be a nasty son of a bitch, so we get along well when we're nasty son of a bitches together. But you know what I'm saying? Is they can manipulate our core being down to our chemicals in our brain, and especially the thing that makes us who we are. We got some big problems. And one day, we're watching this all happen in slow-mo, like a slow-mo train wreck. But one day, this is all going to happen. They're just going to flip the switch, and bzzz, we'll never even know that things have changed. They'll make it so all those bad memories just went away, and look at how perfect the world is. We got this nice little apartment for you, and everything is clean, and we give you food. Don't look out the window. Don't worry that there are no more jobs. You just sit around. It's always been this way. Reading books, learning, looking pretty, being philosophical, making sure you don't do anything that is unsafe for you, because we're going to tell you what's safe. Anyway, we have mapped the human genome, tread on every last bit of Earth, landed on the moon, or so they say, and plunged the oceans, yes, with swarms of ocean drones. That's another DARPA project. And there are a few untrammeled frontiers left, aside from space and the human brain. Ding, ding, ding. Like I said, the last bastion of freedom. It is a touch ironic that which makes us who we are, which has been with us from the very beginning, is one of the biggest mysteries still to humanity. And yes, that's why the big boys want to crack it. Because you're dangerous, little Johnny. You can have thoughts that we don't know about, and you could be planning and plotting things. And humans are so ingenious at times. We need to have a piece of that pie. And there is little wonder the human brain is comprised of 80 billion neurons, not to mention oodles of support cells that it needs to function. And neuroscientists aren't even sure how many types of brain cells there are. And even though we have imaging and computer technology, experts say it still will take decades. Decades, we say, before the brain is fully mapped. Today we have a hodgepodge understanding, and yes, and we have the Brain Initiative, sponsored by the White House, and it is going on globally. Scientists and universities all over the world are working on the Brain Project. Remember, they are having a lot of success finding out where memories are made, and finding out where decisions are made, and watching decisions in real time. We just saw that recently. Being able to figure out all kinds of fun things we could do with the orbital frontal cortex. And creating synthetic synapses and neurons and zippity-zapping them. Yeah, we don't know a lot. I mean, it probably will still be decades, but guys, don't think they're not going to have a lot of fun trying. Medical science is general knowledge of the regions and where certain functions originate. Yet there are a few areas that we do know intimately, and billions of neurons fire off in brilliant and quizzical patterns in an ongoing thunderstorm in a more sophisticated arrangement than any symphony. But how this in turn affects your thoughts or behavior is still largely unknown, and it's why we want that secret. I mean, it's so scary. They want in our heads, guys. They want in our heads because it's a mystery and because there's lots of unknowns, and they can't have unknowns. We're dangerous. But interestingly, the reason why I snagged this article is not that we don't know about the Brain Project or whatever, but the fact that they mention exactly what I said, is the last bastion of unexplored freedom is inside our heads. And they mentioned the Brain Initiative. One particular project known as the Brain Initiative has moved in, and they even have a picture of Obama with a big screen that says the Brain Initiative in the White House. And I mean, it's got to scare you when you find out that the federal government's got self-hacking, cracking, Defcon, autonomous software they're getting ready to set loose here. And on the other side, we got Obama standing next to his big 52-inch LCD with a picture of a brain that says Brain Initiative on it. But it's all for your own good. And legions of nanobots. We forgot about those. One particular project known as the Brain Initiative has moved to fill in the gaps in understanding all the cells and how they are put together is the approach. According to Linda Ning, Director of Technology at the initiative. And in addition to them mapping 86 billion neurons, who else is involved? Oh, the Allen Institute for Brain Science. Wait, you mean Paul Allen of Microsoft? Yes, I mean Paul Allen of Microsoft. Yes, that Allen Institute for Brain Science. Who's the major driver behind this project? And hey, guess what the Allen Institute is planning on doing? Oh, they are planning to build a database of all of the information that they find as part of this brain initiative. Well, thank you there, Mr. Paul Allen. Investigators will use 4 traits to categorize brain cells: shape, position, inside the organ, electrical activity, and gene expression. And so far, the team has taken dozens and dozens of high-resolution photos of neurons, each stimulated with electricity using a light microscope. Ding, ding, ding. This was done while noting the position of each neuron within the subject's cortex, here performed on mouse models. Alan Jones is the CEO of this project, and he says that they are all looking at all parts and how they interact to get a better look at human neurology. And according to Alan, so far they have found a certain number of cell types regimented into class. And in terms of gene expression, the team will focus on sequencing each individual cell's RNA, and they will look for overlap in the 4 variables and complete an entire brain cell taxonomy library. And with systems of classifications, this will help physicists, neuroscientists, and others, I bet Google verily, be able to understand the brain better and hopefully be better able to diagnose and treat psychiatric and neurodegenerative disorders. Remember, it's on a spectrum, guys. And good old Tommy Insel, former director of the National Institute of Mental Health, is over at Google's Verily Ventures, and he's going to cure us all. And this effort is exceedingly complex. All right, guys, well, make sure you stick around because it is Tuesday. Tuesday is a big live radio night. We have Kevin Blanche live up next. Then tonight at 7, Game On or Rock the Boat Radio. He's changing his name with Ron. I think my clocks are off, but I thought I said my bumpers. At 8, Barbarian Lounge, brand spanking new with Alan Odinson. And at 9, the boys from Primer Time. There we go. Michael and Nick. At 10, Anti-Media Radio with SM Gibson. All right, guys, you have an awesome Tuesday, and I will catch up with you tomorrow. Everybody take care.